Hello.
Hello.
Happy Monday.
Coming
We're
at
so
you with a
cute.
new book.
The Path to Self-Love and World Domination. I love us so much. Okay, so in the book, she talks about the ACEs test. Have you ever done that before?
No.
I didn't bring this up ahead of time, so Vanessa's getting blindsided.
No, I've never done it.
Okay, I'm not going to share my answer because Josh and I have done it before. Josh and I have had actually like lots and lots of conversations about it and like the effects on ourselves and our children and, you know, because the ACEs test, she talks about it a little bit in there, but it has like effects on you when you're like growing up, and it has like effects on, I think, like depression. I'm not sure exactly what it all has effects on because I didn't write it down, so I don't want to give misinformation, but it has effects on like basically your adulthood, like chance of being successful, I guess. I don't know if I'm wording it exactly correctly, but she talks about in the beginning like making a Build-A-Bear for yourself.
Yeah,
like to
I liked
represent that. So in there she talks a little bit about the ACEs, and then at like she brings it up like 2 or 3 times maybe. So
Could you think of a time like when she talked about like, so have you done that like exercise where you like you have to think back at like when you were happy as a child?
Lots of times. Josh and I have gone through it like lots
I've
of
never
times.
done that. And I like really kind of struggle. I wouldn't say struggle, but I felt like, you know, I came up with like the generic answers, like getting dirty and like things like that. And I think I would really have to listen to it or like think about it a little bit more to come up with my own.
Even my friend and I took a pole dancing class, and in there, like the get to know you at the beginning of class was, what did you want to be when you grew up? And, you know, saying it there, talking it through with a friend that I went to the class with, then bringing it home, talking with Josh.
Which we talked about that in like one of our first books too.
Yeah.
That we read is like thinking about that and like our children.
Yeah. And, Josh and I think just talk through it a lot because of my mental health struggles and how we don't want my mental health struggles to impact the children. There was one other point I think I wanted to make. But anyways, the test is, the ACEs is Adverse Childhood Experiences, is what it stands for. So, number 1 is, did you have enough to eat? Did you have to wear dirty clothes? Or did you have to wonder, or did you have no one to protect or take care of you? So, basically, it's like a 1 through 10 test, and then if you score like a 0 through whatever, or a 1, like a, you know, it gives you different levels. There's a spider on my phone. Oh my god.
It's like red.
So I should have, I guess, written all of that down to give a better understanding. But, so that's one of them. So each one is like a point. So there's a scale 0 through 10 that you can have. So number 2 is, did you lose a parent, whether it was to divorce, abandonment, or death? Number 3 is, did your parents struggle with drinking or drug use in your home? Number 4 was, did you live with an adult who had depression, mental illness, or no, this was anyone. Did you live with anyone in the home who had depression, mental health issues, or struggle with suicide or suicide attempts? Number 5, did your parents or the adults in your home hit, punch, or threaten to beat each other? Number 6, did you have a parent in jail or prison? Number 7, did you have parents that swore at you, insulted you, or put you down? Number 8, did a parent or adult in your home hit you, beat you, or hurt you? Number 9, did you feel like no one loved you or thought that you were special? And number 10, did you ever have unwanted sexual conduct? So that involves like all the essay things, you know. So I just wrote the bullet points of the thing. But basically, what you score on this from your childhood has an impact on you in your adulthood. And then looking at, as parents, wanting your kids to have the lowest number possible, because each of these things have an impact on your future until you
for sure.
work through them.
For sure.
So when I found it on TikTok like a couple years back, Josh and I went over it, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I was like super upset about my results for a little bit, and then, you know, through working through it, Josh and I, that's what I was going to say before, I'm super embarrassed about his episode, because Josh and I have such good communication. We do talk about all these things, and I feel like he had
it definitely didn't go how I thought it was going to go.
He had such a bad attitude.
Yeah.
That's not how he is in real life. I don't know why he was like putting this persona on.
Which they won't see this. They won't hear that episode till
they'll hear
Wednesday.
It. Oh yeah, because this one comes out and then that one comes out. So forewarning, when you listen on Wednesday, I was like I think I'm gonna make a Facebook post too that's like, I'm embarrassed by this. Like, don't
be embarrassed.
Listen. I know.
I mean, I was embarrassed about my episode last Wednesday, like to the point where I was like, should I delete it? Like, that's where I was going. And then I called my sister. I'm like, if you're not at work, you need to listen to it right away and tell me. Like, and she's like, no, it's fine. But I was freaking out.
So we'll talk about that on not the Josh episode, but the next Wednesday episode, our feelings about that. Because this is supposed to mostly be about the book. So the Wednesday episodes, I guess we can say, are juicy. Yeah. If you're interested in...
They have been very juicy.
The juiciest, most in-depth Wednesday. I guess they're just getting rawer and realer, juicier. Yeah. But so embarrassed by Josh's... I forgot that Josh's... We recorded it last Wednesday, but it's coming out this Wednesday. So...
Yeah.
I guess that's a little spoiler for you. If you want to... Listen
to
my husband being a butthead.
It's fine. They're always buttheads, right?
At the most inconvenient times, apparently.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so the Self-Love and World Domination book. Literally, a lot of our books I've read twice, and this one I think I need to definitely read again.
Yeah, I definitely need to listen again, because... Like, yes, I'm paying attention when I'm listening, but I feel like I got pulled away quite a bit listening to this one, and I wanted to be able to listen to it twice, and life happened. But there was a lot of, like, good information. I feel like the whole time that I was listening, I was actually, like, picturing my life, and, like I really resonated with that first character. Why can't I think of her name?
I don't
about,
remember
like, the anxiety and things like that. It really is, you know, the title speaks for itself, like, just a path to dominate your own world, master your destiny, and create a life of your dreams. Like, that's how I kind of, like, viewed it. Like, there's so many, it starts with, like, your mental health and why you are the person you are, and trying to just channel that and work through everything to be the best person.
And this is why I want to read it again too, because I do a lot of screen recordings when I read through these types of books, and I want to, for each chapter, she has like a let's talk about it, and I think those are amazing journal prompts. So something I want to get into is journaling, and
maybe it's like it can push us into it, because I keep going back to journaling, but I feel like I just haven't mastered it. I just feel like I'm not good at it. I know I've said that before. But if I keep trying.
And in that, so this is kind of jumping around a little bit, but in there, she says you should write down your gratitude every day.
Yes.
And not only what you're grateful for, but write something that you're grateful for about yourself.
Yes.
So if you handled a tough conversation well, if you...
It's pretty much all about you. Like, writing your wins, writing your gratitude, like, your stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, the small goals, I really liked that. I know you're a big goal person.
I wrote down a lot of that at the end. So the beginning of the book, she talks about what we were saying.
Like, inner
child
is the best way I can say it.
Yeah. So I put takeaways to tell our kids, because I really want to either buy mirror stickers to put on like the review mirror in your car, all the mirrors in our house, or I want to just like get like a good marker, and Josh has really, really good handwriting, and ask him to do it, or just suck it up and put my crappy handwriting on. But
Maybe have them write it.
Things she said to have our kids say is, you are valuable, you are important, your needs matter, your voice should be heard and honored. And so she says, like, either you were raised this way or you weren't. And if you weren't, you need to work on it. And if you were raised this way, kudos to you, kind of.
Yeah.
It's like the moral of it. Did you have more on inner child in there?
No. I mean, that was pretty much...
The other part that I put down was basically when you're younger, we need to embrace all of our emotions so that we can soothe and regulate. So we need to know we are smart, we are talented, we are capable. In your inner child, if your parents said, don't argue with me, you're allowed to feel angry at them. We need to feel and express our anger to them. So that's like working through. Too. Yeah, I've like... Someone on Goodreads put that this book was boring, and I was like, how were you bored in this book?
I wasn't bored. No. But I think maybe because I resonated to so much, so maybe she just didn't...
Yeah.
Or maybe she was not in a right mindset to listen to it. Because I also feel like I was struggling last week, too. Mm-hmm. So I think I did, and I think that's why I struggled to listen to it.
Yeah.
As, you know what I mean? Like, as well as I wanted to.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't in the correct mindset.
And Jamie Karen Lima's book, Worthy, she says, too, like, let your body tell you if you're ready to absorb this information or not. Like, you can come back to it, or you can not come back to it. Mm-hmm. This is a book, I loved that I did soundtracks twice. I loved that I did Hustle, Believe, Receive. Like, I think I read that book 4 times. I love that I did that, and this is going to be another one where it's like I need to really listen to it multiple times.
Yeah.
Because there were so many key, good, amazing takeaways.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's like how I am, where I just hear things differently depending on like my mood.
Yeah.
And where I'm at.
They say, or she says too in the book, that the gift of forgiveness is the best gift that you can give yourself. And my dad and I worked on this a lot because I wanted to forgive people and not hold grudges, and I just didn't know how, and I did a lot of Googling and a lot of Pinterest looking, and you just got to kind of figure out forgiveness, I guess. But she breaks it down, and I loved that because I have done a lot of Googling.
Oh, it broke my heart, like her and her child. Mm-hmm. Like, I was in the shower listening to that part, and I was... Yeah. And I really, like, thought of my kids in that part, too.
Yeah.
Like, just, like, knowing that you're not, like, always going to be great. And you're going to make mistakes as a parent. I know we probably said this last episode, too, or a previous episode. But, like, just going back to it and, like, apologizing.
Yep.
And just getting better. And then them having that moment, like, I don't know. I think I probably cried a little bit at that part.
Yeah.
And I think maybe I look back at it too because I don't have a good relationship with my dad. Mm-hmm. So I think of that.
Yeah.
And then it like almost like that's what it made me think of is my dad. And do I want to like open that up again and give it another chance?
That I really struggle with that because for myself to my children, I always think like, you know, it's my first time being a mom. I'm learning how to be a mom. I'm just a girl. I'm just a person. And then do I always give that to others in my life? Where I think of them as just a mom and just a human and just a girl and just a person? I don't know that I always do that. Well, however...
But the difference, too, is, like, my dad hasn't apologized. My dad hasn't said anything. And... you know, the people you're probably referencing haven't done that work either and aren't ready for it. So, I don't know. I feel like...
Well, our next book on boundaries will hopefully help us kind of figure that out. She did say, though, that forgiving others is usually easier than forgiving ourselves. And I was like, not over here.
Really?
Yeah.
I think you're getting better at it. I think you used to beat yourself up. I think you still beat yourself up.
But
over
I'm
things.
way easier, I think, to give myself grace than to give.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
When I look
You're
at
right.
this specific example of me and my mom, like, I will look at
But
it.
is that the only example you think of?
I held a lot of grudges with my dad that we had to work through.
Got it.
Because, like, I would be upset about things that happened when I was, like, Brooklyn's age.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess I see that, because kind of how you are with, like,
and with Josh.
friendships and other people, too, yeah.
I think I can give myself grace to change my mind and make different decisions and mess up and do over and ask my kids for do-overs and stuff like that. But I don't think I necessarily extend that forgiveness to other people. Like, I've forgiven myself for not finishing college the first time I went. And I've forgiven myself for messing up my credit and for doing whatever job stuff I've done. Like, I can forgive myself a lot easier than I can forgive other people.
Yeah. I think I'm the opposite.
Yeah.
I think I make a lot of excuses for other people, and I definitely can forgive and think about their situation and where they're at. Whereas me, I'm hard on myself constantly. And
I see how it's more normal for others to be that way. Like, I don't think it's normal that I'm, like, allow myself grace to mess up.
I think it's because of all your trauma, though. I think it's your type of trauma.
Yeah. There's a lot to work on. That's kind of, another, like, podcast episode I was, like, kind of thinking about or reading this book is, like, there's just so much to work on. But that kind of brings it into her, like, goal setting. She said you do small, attainable goals.
Yeah, that was a big one of mine.
She said you pick one thing that you can start doing right away today. What did it say? If it's too easy, it's not going to benefit you. If it's too complicated, you won't accomplish it. And then you need to find a goal that pushes you. It needs to be attainable, doable, and challenging. And then she asked herself, what's stopping you from starting today? And then write down, after she talked about the goal setting section, she's like, write down things you're good at, write down strengths you have, and, like, have that posted somewhere so you can see, like, a lot of my things is I focus on, like, I was able to say to myself, I'm going to have a baby without an epidural, and then I did it, and that's, like, when I say I'm going to do something and I wholeheartedly mean it, I do it. Because I have a sheet on my wall in my bedroom of things that I've accomplished. I just also have a hard time feeling like I accomplished things.
Yeah.
Working through, like, the Worthy workbook and stuff. Sorry.
Which you're way further than I am.
This episode's getting a little bit off the book topic, but it's so broad.
It is broad.
This book is so broad.
I mean, we've read a lot of these types of books. So I think, it is going to happen. We're going to think back of our old books because that's what we've read.
I just think, like, it's hard for me to find strengths sometimes because I'll put down as an accomplishment, like, I graduated high school, but also I'm like, everyone graduates high school. And then I'm like, wait, Josh didn't graduate high school. He had to go back. But then he went back, so he did accomplish it. Like, so I undervalue my accomplishments.
Me too. I mean, I used to do that, like, when I worked at Victoria's Secret. Like, I was a manager at Victoria's Secret, but I was embarrassed of that job. But, like, I was making good money. But I looked at that job as no different than a manager at, like, McDonald's. Or, you know what I mean? Not saying that's a bad job. I'm just saying, like, I worked really hard to get into the position I was at, and I would just, like, downplay it.
As, like, it's just a retail job.
It's just a retail job. Like, I'm not good enough. I didn't go to college. Like, like, it was what it was. But I am the worst at talking about my strengths.
I think it's hard for me, too, because I feel like my strength is, like, I did have 2 children without having an epidural, and I felt so empowered, so badass, so accomplished, but then I can't really go onto the internet and, like, say that, because then I feel like, oh no, am I making other people feel less than by saying how proud I am of myself for accomplishing that?
Yeah, but you can't think that way because that was a goal you set for yourself.
And accomplished.
So I think anyone who tries to take away from that from you is a shitty person. And
it's how I look at like breastfeeding too. Like I breastfed Elena and Kenzie until they were 2 years old. Like that is a lot of freaking work.
Yeah.
And I did it. It was a goal I set for myself, was to do it until the age of 1. Mm-hmm. I smashed that, kept going, and I'm proud of it. But at the same time, it's really hard for me to be like outwardly proud of it because I don't want other people to be offended. Like, well, I couldn't because I didn't produce. And it's like, I'm not, you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't want to be taken the wrong way.
I get it. I think we've had that challenge come up a few times. Mm-hmm. But the thing is it's still like your goal, your accomplishment.
Yeah.
And you should feel proud of it. Mm-hmm. And shout it to the freaking rooftops. Like if someone can't be down for you or be happy for you, then what are they? Jealous? Are they like a shitty ass person? I don't know.
I feel like I'm gonna cry. Oh my gosh.
I mean, don't cry. I mean, you can cry if you want to cry. But like, I don't know. I'm struggling a little bit with that with like Sawyer, like him hitting his home run and then those kids talking crap.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same thing. I mean, people either do it out of jealousy or they're just not a nice person. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. Everyone should be everyone's cheerleader. That's all I have to say.
I know, the world would be a much better place.
Yeah, we need more positive people. Mm-hmm.
Which is why we want to share, the ups and downs of everything we go through, mm-hmm. but also stick on a more genuinely, like, positive note. I'm like, we got this, we can get through this, we can, mess up saying something to our kids, whether it's with the puberty stuff or the internal stuff, and then ask for forgiveness, mm-hmm. move forward, say an apology. Mm-hmm. Those are big things, and they're hard to do in real time.
Mm-hmm. I think it's nice for us too, though, because I feel like you and I are very opposite people in a lot of things. Mm-hmm. Like goals. I don't really set goals. I'm starting to because of you. Mm-hmm. You know? I think, it's all good.
It's like today, honestly. So we have recorded episodes at a park before. One of my big focuses is like YouTube right now. So I want to like look at the camera and like this, that, and the other. Yeah. But the girls really wanted to come to the park today. So yes, Vanessa and I can record backed into a stall watching them. But then I'm like, oh no, is this going to affect our YouTube? But Elena really wanted to go to the park, and then I was trying to say later, and they're like, well, why not now? And I am like, because Vanessa and I are going to record. And she's like, well, you've let us in the past. So I was like, okay, let me just put what I want to happen right now kind of aside, and like, this is okay, this can happen. And that's how I feel like I give grace to myself when she was talking about forgiveness, because I will say like, all right, stop, hold on. I'll be like, I said to them, get your shoes on and get in the car. I need 10 minutes to get my stuff ready because I wasn't prepared to be leaving the house quite yet. And so I'm like, all right, like take a deep breath. It's okay.
Yeah.
The other thing I think that I really need to reread was the cognitive dissonance portion, which was before the goal setting, after the inner child. Yeah. Is in the middle of the book. She talks about the cognitive dissonance is when your values compete with your behavior. So basically it was like, the story was someone cheating and, and then she breaks down different mm-hmm. cognitive dissonances. And I was like, I think I really need to like slow it down or write it down or screen record it or something mm-hmm. and pay more attention to that, because I think I do struggle with that sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like Josh and I spending money. Like, that's exactly what is. Like, I know better, but do I act better? Not always.
No, yep.
Right there. I'm not out here cheating on my husband or anything, but I struggle. And I've struggled, like, in the past with going to church and, like, you know, my different views and values and stuff like that. Maybe that's not the best example. But I do think I struggle a lot with cognitive dissonance. And when she breaks down the different types, was that the wording, the types?
Yeah,
I need to
listen
to that again.
Yeah, I need to re-listen to a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, my big focus is, like, finding out my, like, self-love and self-care, right? Mm-hmm. So I think, like, this book really took me on a journey to kind of discover what self-love is, what it isn't, how I should find it, and why having it is so important for my happiness. I think that was a big takeaway for me, like, in this book, like, overall, like, just figuring out what I need to do to be happy.
She said, too, about your inner dialogue. And then
I'm bad at that, yeah.
Well, how did she phrase it exactly? It was something about, we say self-love, but then when we turn on the TV and see these types of commercials and drive past the Botox location and listen to these radio commercials and buy $8 bath bombs, she's like, is an $8 bath bomb really self-love? Then she kind of goes, look inward. If it brings you true happiness, yes, it is self-love. If you're only doing it because the commercials and advertisements tell you to do it, then it's not self-love.
And I think that's huge, because I think what I'm finding is a lot of these things that I'm trying that are self-love or self-care are almost more work for me, and almost making it more stressful. So yeah, I say I'm doing, you know, I liked the bath bomb thing. Like, I'm taking a bath with a bath bomb, but in there I'm thinking about all the million things I need to do, like, that I'm being taken away from for this self-love time, that it's more stressful to me sometimes. Yeah. So I really need to find out, like, what makes me happy. What are some self-love, self-care things that I enjoy doing? Because then I'll keep to it, you know, where I keep trying all these different things, trying to figure it out based on Instagram or TikTok or all these other things. Yeah. Like, you know, you really wanted a sauna sleeping bag thing. Yeah. Like me, I think I would hate that the whole entire time. But yet I want one. Yeah. Because you see these other women, like, taking their time in their little sauna bag with their red light on. Like, that sounds peaceful and zen, but I feel like I would probably hate it.
Yeah, if you look at it as a chore, then it's not really self-love and self-care.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other day, okay, so this is kind of where I should probably go to, like, a doctor, you know?
Oh, we should count every time we say this on this show, because we say it every time.
Okay, but you know how when I, like, do stuff, I do it until I forget about doing it?
Yeah.
Because I basically have, like, adult women undiagnosed ADHD.
I mean, I say I'm going to do something, like, later that night, and I already forget. Like the Worthy book. Workbook.
So, I was doing these cold showers in the morning, like, months ago, okay? Because I was like, if I do these cold showers in the morning for enough days, then I can justify buying a cold plunge and actually doing the cold plunge. This was like, wait, can I get on a side tangent here? Yeah, it's our podcast.
I mean, you always do. We haven't had any complaints yet.
One time, I told myself if I did yoga for enough days in a row, I would earn a lotus tattoo between my shoulder blades. So this is kind of like that. Like, I told myself if I did enough cold showers in a row, I would earn the ice bath thing, right? So the other day I was in the shower and I, like, turned it to cold and then did it for, like, a song. So what's that, like 2 minutes or whatever?
Yeah, I would say like 3.
And
3.5.
It probably wasn't like a full song. But close to. So then I was like, wow, I feel so, like, good after that. Why did I stop doing this? It's because I forgot. You know what I mean? I just forget stuff.
Me too. I tell you all the time I forget things.
Yeah. We should do an episode on coping mechanisms for adult untreated ADHD.
Yeah.
Because you know anxiety, intrusive thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we should try some of that. I mean,
There was an ADHD book I wanted for us to read.
I have one on
I
our
forget
book
what
list
it
too.
is.
Our book list is like 500 books long.
It is.
So maybe in a couple
okay.
years we'll have our shit together.
I mean, it's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. I struggle with that too, like thinking what's most important.
Me too.
And that's a huge struggle of mine. Over the last like 3 years of me working on myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what's most important right now? Getting physical exercise, getting sleep, getting water, making more money, or all these mental health things like my brain. It's all important. So then I'll say to Josh, what's the most important? And he's like, the most important is whatever you're going to do. But I'm like, how do I know if I'm going to do it or not until I try it? And how do I try it if my brain doesn't fully comprehend the whole action plan?
Yeah. Well, I think it's little by little every day. I mean, you know, it's every day it's going to be something different. And we're going to need something different.
1% better every day, baby.
Yeah, for sure.
But we love this book. We're going to read it again. Maybe the second time we read it, we'll touch back on it.
Yeah, I agree.
We love you.
Love you.
Have a happy Monday.
Have a good week.
We'll talk to you Wednesday.
Bye.
Bye.